Joined by Kirk Pepperdine. How are you doing, Kirk?
I'm doing just fine. How are you doing?
Good. So last time we were,
Together?
spending a lot of time together. It was actually at my place,
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
and
You kicked me outside,
and
gave me a
you were
whole
doing
box of stuff.
extremely important work for the Java community.
Yeah.
Can you describe?
I was picking a Raspberry Pi out of a box, plugging it in to all the necessary bits, making sure it worked, fixing it if it didn't, and then repackaging it very nicely into another little box.
Exactly. So you were
For
preparing kits for a kids workshop
yeah,
to teach, young children about how to do Java programming on Raspberry Pi. So
I think that was it was a unfortunately the only contribution I could make to that event, but I hope it was a useful one. You
and you
know,
also survived my younger daughter Priscilla jumping on you
she
for
tried
4 or 5 hours straight. That was amazing.
she tried her best to I don't know, but damage me in just about any way possible. Um, but no, she was great. She was great entertainment for the day.
Okay, so speaking of people trying to damage you, I heard you had a pretty exciting BOF last night.
Oh, it was a great BOF. Whenever I go to these Java events, always like to hold like basically a free form, open forum BOF, or just bring your problems or whatever
Yeah.
data you have, and we just sit down there and we try to make a discussion about it and see if there's anything we can learn about different things. And
So a real birds of feather session. Just get a bunch of smart people and then start
yeah,
debating and
yeah,
discussing and getting to the root cause.
well, I don't know about even it's real smart or just anybody who's got something. Everybody
Yeah.
can contribute. And yeah, just try to initiate the discussion, but then get out of the way or something like that. That unfortunately didn't work out so well last night because we got into the subject of garbage collection. So some people started showing up with garbage collection logs, which means I had to do some GC analysis.
Free
and then
consulting. Very good.
yeah,
The Kirk's BOF get
yeah,
free consulting on your GC logs.
yes, it was. It's a great idea. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Uh,
really fun. It's a good opportunity for everyone to learn
I
about
have plans
things.
for that.
Simone was there,
Oh,
so I got actually nice feedback from him also.
cool.
And yeah, there's a whole Pierre was there. There's a whole bunch of people that showed up that
So
are
did you guys come up with any insights or anything that you think
well.
was a nice takeaway from the discussion and the
Yeah, I think there were a number of interesting things that we saw. I mean, we had one guy had a memory leak in his application he didn't know he had, so that gives him some work to do when he gets back home. There was some other magic numbers we're able to distribute it to people to help them understand exactly what it is that they needed to do. And I almost got fired by telling my CEO that he was actually wrong on a couple of things. So
yeah.
he doesn't like that when you do it in front of people so much. So he was actually afterwards saying, "Yeah, I'm going to be happy to give you the pink slip."
A few good Belgian beers and everything else smooth over.
Unfortunately, this one we didn't bring beer. It's like my
Oh,
bad, big mistake. Yeah, so we did actually get into looking at some of the benchmarking I'd done with G1, and
oh. So what sort of results have you found? I'm sure like, given all the good things I've heard about G1, you must just be seeing this huge improvement in performance and application uptime, and it's
well, let me say, I had a little bit of help with Pierre on this particular benchmark, which was really good because Pierre, just did a nice session on
yeah.
how to fail at benchmarking. So we did everything he said.
To fail.
No, well, actually, not
Well,
to fail.
hopefully avoiding the failures, but
But
yeah.
but actually using some of the stuff you said to actually set up a benchmark that was actually able to measure overheads
Yeah.
of the different collectors. So and really for this nice big juicy benchmark, CMS was still significantly better than anything we could do to the G1. We tried different configurations with the G1, straight configurations just like recommendations, and then looking
Yeah,
at the problems and everything. And I think the real takeaway with the G1 is that you do need a lot of spare CPU to actually make it a reasonably good collector for your particular environment. So this benchmark wasn't actually what I would call a showcase benchmark for the G1, but it really was there to measure overhead, and it did its job. And we found like the two really biggest sources of overhead were object copy costs and another thing called remembered set refinement. And it seemed like whatever we did to fix one aggravated the other. And so you go and fix the other one, and it would aggravate the first one.
What's memory set refinement?
Remembered set refinement?
Yeah, remembered set.
Well, I don't know how deeply you want to get into it in this particular form, but essentially the remembered sets are there to track pointers from specific regions into other regions, and so this is essentially used to so that when I'm collecting or doing a garbage collection on a region, I don't have to scan the rest of the heap to find the roots. I can just go to these remembered sets and see them right. Now, when the mutator threads are actually working, they actually have to inject data into these remembered sets, but instead of injecting directly, what happens is they get put into a queue. And then there's refinement threads that will go through the queue and then actually update the data structure. By nature it's a sparse data structure. So there's some funky graph theory that gets applied to the whole thing that allows them to make a compact data structure out of this sparse data structure. But it comes with some overhead when you do that. And so this whole process comes with some overhead. So, and of course, on the type of benchmark we're doing, that would take away from the throughput.
Yeah. Okay. So you're basically in a constrained system where you're using all the available resources.
Yeah. Well, I would say the benchmark was running very hot intentionally. So we're in a zero-sum gain. So what we're looking at is if there's any reduction in throughput, it's because of what the garbage collector was doing, or if there was any inefficiencies because of the code that was being JITted. The code that's JITted is somewhat different when you have the G1 than what you would get when you have the other collectors.
At, like total time spent garbage collecting, or like
just total time it takes to clear a workload.
Total time. Oh, to clear the workload, and just treating the garbage collection as part of the.
That's part of the job.
Yeah.
That's absolutely part of the job. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so with all the knowledge and performance testing and deep inner workings of garbage collectors, which have you ever considered writing the Pepperdine garbage collector?
No, because I know a lot about garbage collection, and I know it's something that I'm not clever enough to even begin to start tackling.
Good.
It's
That's
a very
good to know
difficult problem.
Your scope and what you do well.
I have a lot of admiration for the guys who actually write these algorithms because honestly, they are not trivial.
Yeah.
Not trivial at all. So.
Cool. Well, it was good chatting with you about your BOF.
Yeah.
About what we were doing with kids and, manual labor assembling kit workshops.
That was really fun.
And I look forward to chatting with you next.
Oh, we're getting heckled here.
Whoa, heckling.
The summary of the conversation is that Steve Chin gave Kirk Pepperdine a raspberry.
Okay, so.
Oh.
Stuart gave me a quote which I probably shouldn't repeat, which is the summary of this conversation is, I gave you a raspberry.
Thank you very much. I really appreciated it.
All right.
Fantastic.
So, thank you all.
Bye.